Hi, I'm Kevin, and this is the first video for Skylab Flight Systems. The first of many, I hope. Today I am going to be reviewing, a little nervously probably, as you might or might not notice, a copter from a manufacturer called Lotus RC. Some of you may know Lotus RC. They've been around for probably 6 years. They've put out a variety of copters. They started out with the T580G, which was a 380 millimeter small copter with a very basic stabilization. That was okay. It was a great copter to learn. It forced you to actually fly. Very little stabilization whatsoever in it. And they've progressed from there on. Jan, or Flying Jan at Lotus RC, as he likes to be called, is very passionate about copters. He also owns a business that produces brushless motors for all sorts of vehicles, aircraft, multi-rotors, helicopters, airplanes. He tied that into the multi-copter, and since then he's had a variety of proprietary flight controllers, and they've done okay. The newest one is called the Luna 200, and he is putting that on all of his copters, as well as some future projects that I hope that I'll get to mention and maybe tell you guys about. For now, though, let's talk about a copter that I bought because I wanted to see what it was like, especially because it has the new flight controller. For the record, I am not paid by Lotus RC. I am not paid by any of the other manufacturers that I may mention or show you on any of these videos. I'm no different than a lot of you, except that I have worked with some of these people as far as helping them out as a technical advisor, sometimes a marketing advisor as well. Anyway, enough rambling. So the T580 normally will come in a big metal case to protect the copter, so you can take it wherever you want to go. But because I ordered this one before it was ready, I got it in just a standard box. So here is what my package came on. Lotus RC, actually that's upside down. Lotus RC, I think it says T580. So let's see what we've got in here. And standard styrofoam. Looks like we've got landing gear. Yeah. Anodized blue aluminum. This is probably reused from something from their originals, the original T580. It says Lotus RC and T580 on it. Nifty. Also in here, is the copter, and then these are the landing skids for the landing gear, and the copter is in here upside down. So I'll pull that out last. Two sets of propellers. One set orange, one set black. The orange go on front, also to help you tell where the front of the aircraft is. It's a kind of neat little thing. Let's pull the copter out though. Oh, wait. Bag of hardware. This will be your standard. Jan always includes the hex keys that you need to work on this copter. He does not include wrenches, which you'll see when we put this copter together. You kind of do need a socket or a wrench to put the landing gear on. But he includes some stickers and some battery Velcro strips, so you can attach the battery. And now this is a test copter. It's not ready for production, so that would explain the ugly GPS antenna on top. I believe, based on discussions via email with Jan, that they're going to come out with a mast that will fold down, so you can take it where you want to go and not worry about breaking it or snapping it off. Not that I'm gonna try to fool you guys. I have actually already attached my receiver, and I reboxed this so I could pull it out, because I felt like the people that don't have experience with copters needed to see how you put this thing together. So I'm going to reposition the camera, and I will silently put this together, and then we'll continue from there. I will say that there are a couple things that I do like about this T580 and Lotus RC's products in general. One of them being their propellers. A lot of manufacturers say that they have locking propellers that don't spin off, etc., etc. Lotus RC makes a propeller with a brass fitting that's threaded. It threads onto their Outrunner motors. These things spin down, and then you have a lock nut that goes on top of them. Most of the time, I would say use a little dab of Loctite when you're putting these things together, but I haven't found that I need to do that with the Lotus RC products since the second version, probably. So I do really like that about them. The T580G here that we have here, it's all plastic. The booms are fiberglass, plastic body. You've got the aluminum Outrunner motors. Now these are kind of small compared to what I've seen on his previous copters, which is fine because this copter is meant for sport flying and FPV. You put the camera on, you put the equipment on that you want to put on, do it yourself, which I will show you later that I've already done. And I'm going to be honest, I have unboxed this, but I have not flown it yet, so probably get to catch some funny things on video when I do fly it, if I can find somebody to run the camera. So I'm gonna reposition the camera for you guys and just do a quick assembly. Thanks. Okay, so let's start with the landing gear. We'll flip this thing upside down. We're going to take the landing gear. You see the bolts that he's already got. Just take all those off and set them aside. We can go ahead and put the landing skids on. Spread this out as far as you can, and then lay it on its side, and you can put your landing skids on just like so. For those of you that do not plan to take this apart, I would use some adhesive so they don't slide off accidentally, but it's up to you. They do spread a little bit, so you can make it more permanent. Your choice. Make sure those are nice and tight. And then it can only go on one way. So set it on, and tighten your bolts. Don't go overboard. Try to get them all on first. I always go diagonally. And then we'll go over some features of this copter. A little too tight there. Clearly. Those of you that are watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, kevin.skylabfs@gmail. I do not have my website up and running yet. I'm trying to decide if I even want to do that, or if these YouTube videos will be enough. Perhaps you can tell me. I am going to be retailing some of these, I think, so a website is inevitable. It's just how I do it and when I do it are the only questions. Now, once that's done, you can stand it up and I'll reposition the camera again. So, the propellers, I always put the propellers on with the copter facing away from me. You can tell that this is the front of the copter because they've put the yellow stickers that say Lotus RC, which are only there to help you know which direction the front of the copter is. So the orange propellers are meant to be on the front. I have the configuration memorized from actually helping with the user manual, but it goes like this. The front left will spin clockwise. The back right will also spin clockwise. The front right will spin counterclockwise, as will the back left. So that's how you get your lift. I'm sure most of you guys understand that. So you'll remove the prop nut, and then you're going to take, as I said, these are threaded, so be careful as you're putting them on. And you can see I'm wobbling all over the place. There we go. It's a nice tight fit, which is encouraging in my opinion. Hear a little bit of squeaking there. These go, it's quite a bit of thread, so I like that. It just makes me feel, go hand tight. You don't need to try to break the props by tightening it too much. Then you put your prop nut on. Now the prop nut's got a little hole in it that you can use conveniently. The smallest Allen key that comes in that little package. You stick that in there, and you can use that to tighten your props. Now keep an eye on it. You don't want to tighten it too much. Just enough. And you'll feel it. It's one of those things where you do it by feel. So let's do the other. These copters come receiver ready, which means that you have to use your own battery and your own radio. So the battery you can use a 3S or a 4S battery on there. It's a nice option. I will be flying mine with a 4S 3000 milliamp Zippy 20C that I bought from Hobby King. Hobby King, as most of you know, have the best prices on batteries and a lot of other accessories. The other thing is, this copter comes with a T connection. Now, most of the batteries that you buy, because the hobby world, for whatever reason, all the manufacturers use something different. They don't communicate, and they all use something completely different. So one copter may be a T connector, the other may be 4mm bullets, the other one may be XT60. The Zippy battery that I'm using has an XT60 connector on the end. So I also bought a female T to male XT60 to use on here, rather than put a new connector on the battery. If you buy a battery, you clip the connector off to put whatever suits you. You avoid whatever warranty there is. Granted, the warranties aren't that great, but some warranties better than none. So just remember that. That's my personal preference. Everybody's different. Let's finish up. So put this first back one on. I love that. That makes things so much easier. Okay, I'll put this on. And you can hold on to the motor and the prop at the same time. If this comes off like that just did, don't worry. Put it back on. Get that nut on there. You can glue this back. The important thing is getting the nut. And all this cap really does is act as a wrench. There's that. Now we have one more. For those that might be noticing the scuffs on my propellers, I had a bit of a bench test accident where I did not have my copter secured when I was testing the battery and the arming feature, which resulted in a cleared desk. Cleared bench top, I should say. Okay, that's nice and tight. These Velcro strips are used for the underside. You can run them between these two bars, okay? One way, one the other way, so when you put pressure in one direction and then pressure on the other direction, it automatically forces the battery to straighten up and be aligned with the copter. Try to center it so it's balanced, and it stays, you know, unless you're gonna plan on crashing, you don't have anything to worry about. I use Spektrum radio components and a DX9 for my transmitter. This particular receiver is the 6-channel micro light. I chose that because I'm going to put a camera on this as well, so I wanted to go as light as I could. I also use the orange receivers. I like the orange receivers. They work great as far as I'm concerned, but a 6-channel orange is a little bit heavier than what this micro light, and I happen to have this micro light, so I decided to use it. I cut a piece of Velcro in half, put it here because it doesn't need a full piece. and then I put its mate on the front edge of the copter, so I can just Velcro it and it's not bouncing around. You'll notice that I do have an extra cable hanging here. I'll tell you what that is, what that's for here in just a minute. But first, let's have a look inside the new T580G and see what Lotus RC put in there. You can use the same hex keys. It's a 1.5 millimeter for the record. Actually, that is not the right one. For the sake of expediency, I have already removed 2 of these, just so we can get a look. Now I have the back side of the copter pointing to you. One of the things that you'll notice is there's something hanging off of this arm. What that is an LED that tells you the mode that the copter's in, and it tells you also how many satellites you're getting signal from. It's a fairly standard, copy of the NASA, I would say, where you have the 3 different flight modes. You've got the stabilized, manual flight for mode 1. Mode 2 is the position hold, where you can hold the longitude, latitude position, but you can change the elevation with the throttle. It's a handy function for doing aerial photography. Again, this copter is a bit light, so I don't think you'll be doing very much aerial photography with it. The motors and the props, it's using a 12-inch prop, and these motors are kind of small, so I don't know that it's going to pick up anything more than a GoPro. Definitely a micro cam. So inside of here, let's see what we've got. So that's the new Luna 200. He does not have a case for it. And then you'll also notice that he has board-mounted ESCs, 1 for each motor, instead of doing it in pairs like he used to do. And they're mounted on Velcro. Preventative measure, I think, or in case of one of them failing, you can replace it without having to pry out a bunch of glue. So it looks pretty standard. Here's your GPS cable going into the antenna in the top. I'm not a fan of that, like I said, so I will be changing mine to run out the back side, or possibly run out the front side with a folding masts. But that's me. And again, this isn't the production model, so perhaps Jan will make some of these changes himself. I cannot say, but we can remain hopeful, right? In the meantime, let's put this back on. For those of you that did not put Velcro down already, remember how this came off, because the direction of the GPS antenna is very important. If it's pointing backwards, then it's not going to work very well. So just something to keep in mind. I guess I should have said that at the beginning, but I didn't. Well, the next thing I'm going to show you now, I'm going to take this and set it aside. I decided that I wanted to use FPV. I wanted to fly FPV with this copter. So, I kind of built my own little contraption so I could use RC Logger's RC Logger Pro camera and monitor system. This is the RC Logger camera. It's the RC Logger Pro. The thing that I love about RC Logger, I just need to get that a little bit lower. The thing I love about RC Logger is their stuff all comes self-contained or has self-contained batteries. So this camera has its own battery. You charge it via USB connected to your PC or your laptop. The receiver is the video transmitter is the only piece of equipment that needs to have power. That's what that additional cable out of my receiver is for the video transmitter. So I will plug that video transmitter cable right here, and what that does is that powers the transmitter, and it allows me to control the record function from my radio. Now I have that wired into the landing gear channel because it's only a 2-position switch, which makes sense. You know, start and stop for record. All of their components are light. They're not the lightest out there, but they certainly are light. So to mount this camera, I just went to the hardware store because I have no patience and I couldn't wait for any fiberglass or you know, any G10 or carbon fiber. I took a piece of plexiglass and I cut it, you know, a little bit bigger than the battery. Actually, this one's quite a bit bigger than the battery. I could have gone a little bit smaller. I drilled some holes, and using holes that are already in that landing gear, I'm connecting these rods into the bottom of the copter. And that creates a battery tray, which I have a piece of Velcro. And when you put the battery on there, there's the other side. No side-to-side movement because of or very little I should say, because of the bolts. And then no lateral because of the Velcro. So I had some shock absorbing studs, I guess, sitting here. I'm sure there's a better name and somebody will correct me eventually. But I hope that will absorb any vibration that I've got. I haven't tested it, couldn't tell you. I just looked at it and said, this looks right, let me do it. I love the RC logger. I've got the camera angle set at 45 degrees from level. There's a screw that is on the side that allows me to tighten that. The other great thing is it comes with a servo horn, and you can use a micro servo if you want to control the pitch of your camera. It's great, but I don't really think it's necessary, so I just set it. I'm just trying to get some basic video flying. All the controls are on the camera itself. You can set it to video or camera for stills. Downloading the RC Logger software, you can set how often it takes a still photo, you know, anywhere from 1 second to 1 minute. The most I believe it'll take is 3 photos a second, which is great. It does record in 1080. I believe, and I may be wrong, I believe it's 30 frames on 1080, and then it's 60 or 30 frames on 720, which are 2 other options for you. So have a look at RC Logger's site. They have a lot of different distributors here in the U.S., and perhaps one day I'll be one. But their system, plug and play, ready to go, runs around $250, maybe more, depending on which components you decide to go with. The video receiver looks like this. It's got a belt clip on the back. It too has its own battery, which is awesome. Again, you don't have to worry about hooking another battery up. You know, you've got an AV out. You've also got DC in. You can match this up with RC Logger's own monitor. It has a 4.3 inch. I prefer to do that myself, so it's all together as one unit. The video transmitter and the video receiver have 4 channels, so you can switch around, find what works out best. I did opt for both sets of antennas, so I have the mushrooms as well. And these are all 5.8 gigahertz, so you're not going to get much interference, if any, with your copper. That's about it. What I will do next, my next little installment, I guess, will be the maiden flight of the T580G, and I hope that I haven't bored all of you guys to death. Thanks for sticking with me, and we'll see you soon.